Ayuka, good evening. Can hear, right?
Yes, miss.
Ayuka, can you hear me?
Yes, miss.
Okay, fine. So let's start today's lesson. I'll share my screen. Last week we did the introduction. Okay, so you may remember you have copied down the outline of the exam, and we started the first book, first certificate in English practice test. Okay, here we did the part one. In test one, part one, we did Barack a pianist. Okay, and we answered. This is the uh, did, and part two, oh, we are supposed to start today. Part two, and in test one, part two, and we have part three. Okay, in here, and they are like first part one is multiple choice, right? Which comes in your new version. It will be in your part five. Okay, uh, and then second one, part two, which we are going to do today, is called gap text. This one will be your, mostly it will come your part six. Okay, so part five, six, and multiple matching will be your part seven. Okay, so which we are doing now, right now. We focus on part five, six, seven. Okay, in the exam, it will come in that order. Okay, so my part multiple choice, gap text, okay, multiple matching. These names try to remember. These are your types, task type, okay, in your reading and use of English paper, right? So I'm not going to recall you about the multiple choice, which we have done already last week. Today we are going to focus on gap text, okay? That is the part two.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes, Chinli.
Teacher, what is the book we are using?
This is the first book. Do you have that one? This is the one, the photocopied one, which we started very beginning.
Wait, teacher. Teacher, I don't have it.
It was given before New Plus. It's a photocopy.
Teacher, I have it. Sorry, teacher.
You have, right? Yeah, that's what. You might have done this part one, and just check part two whether you are done. Anyway, part two is answered already. Okay, because when I'm sharing, when I have shared, I have already shared no this PDF. In here it is already answered. No problem. Part two is cooking for friends. Okay, so this is gap text. There are gaps in between. You can see 9, 10, okay, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So there are 8 gaps, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, there are 6 or 7 gaps, I guess. We see 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 6, 7. Yeah. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 8 answers. Okay. Already it is fixed, right? I'll explain you how to do this task so that we can try it in the test too. Okay, once I explain, because now you know how to answer the multiple choice. Okay, that is your part 5, and now we are discussing gap text, that is your part 6. Mean the, the exam that you're going to do in your paper, it will come as part 5 and 6. Okay, right? So gap text, we are going to read this one and we'll understand. And first we will read. So then only we'll come to know how to what is the um, uh, way of answering this one. How to find the answers. There are certain techniques we'll tell you. Okay, right? So I hope everybody you have this the book printed one you have. This is page number 8. Ready everyone? Generally you got the book, right? All right.
Teacher.
Sehansa, you have this?
Teacher.
Ayuka, you also have the book, right?
Yes, teacher.
Chanushi, you have this book, right?
Yes, teacher.
You have, right? This book printed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Setuli also you have, right? Saliha, you have, right?
Teacher.
Examnina, you also have, right? Okay. I'll start with Setuli, Sehansa, Saliha. Okay, right? So Setuli, you are going to read an article by retired lawyer and keen cook John Griffiths. 7 sentences have been removed from the article. Choose from the sentences A to H the one which fits each gap. 9 to 15. There is one extra sentence which you do not need to use. Okay, mark your answers on the separate. Okay, so this we are going to read. Okay, already answers are already filtered. We'll discuss how the answers, how you get the answers. Okay, based on that, we'll do another part from the next test. Okay. So Setuli, you are going to read the first paragraph and the second paragraph. Don't read the answers. Omit the 9 and 10. Just read the paragraph only. Okay.
Okay, teacher.
And after Setuli, Sehansa and Sahari Idol. Sehansa, you're reading the third paragraph, third and fourth paragraph. Okay. So you're not reading the 11th and 12th answers. You omit and read. Saliha, you're going to read the next two paragraphs. Clear? Others, please listen. Okay. Then we have another two paragraphs that I will let you know who is going to read next. Okay, we'll take turns and read. Yeah. Okay. Certainly, you can start reading first two paragraphs. Cooking for friends.
Okay, teacher. Cooking for friends. Choosing the degree I should study for at university was quite difficult for me, as there were two careers that I found equally attractive. The law and catering. After much soul searching, I realized that whilst I could be a lawyer during the day and then enjoy cookery as a form of relaxation, the reverse was not true. Thus, I opted for a law degree and made food and wine my number one hobby. I have never regretted this decision. Working as a lawyer provided a good living and allowed me enough spare time to indulge myself by enjoying some very fine food and wines at many superb restaurants. Blank. And life in catering would have meant that I would always have been working when my friends were playing, and vice versa. The hours that have to be worked by chefs are quite ridiculous. They have to arrive at their restaurant by mid morning at the latest to prepare for lunch. They work all afternoon dealing with the business side of their establishment and developing new recipes. Then they must prepare for evening service, probably crawling into bed in the small hours of the next morning, feeling absolutely shattered. Blank.
Okay. Very good. Next, Sehansa, next two paragraphs. Sharing my love.
Sharing my love of fine food and wine with good friends in the relaxed atmosphere of my home has more than compensated for no owning a restaurant.
Being a professional chef probably would have meant that by now I would be sick of the sight of food, much as I am completely turned off by the merest mention of anything to do with the Lord. Planning a meal for the people I love is a great pleasure. I have a vast collection of cookery books, and I am an avid fan of the many of TV chefs. The problem I have, therefore, is choosing what to cook from so many different possibilities. How do I choose? Well, that depends very much on the friends. A starting point has to be catering for their own likes and dislikes, and trying to visitors. Avoid serving them the same dishes as the lifestyle they discover. I don't claim to be anything other than the enthusiastic amateur, but quiet and few friends appear to be daunted by the prospect of cooking for me. They seem to think that some of the food I produce is better than they can do, and now wanting to appear to be a show off or to overwhelm them. I sometimes hold back and cook something simpler than the more adventurous fare I might really have wanted to pack.
Okay, very good. Saliha, last two paragraphs. The friends I like cooking.
Okay. The friends I like cooking for most of all are those who share the love of food and wine as much as I do, and who are quite happy to reciprocate in grand style when I play them a return visit. Generally, my cooking has become less complex and pretentious over the years, and although I use recipes, books, and TV chefs as inspiration, I tend to find that the best way of deciding what to cook is to see what is available when I do the shopping. Years ago, I would have retired early to bed with a great heap of books around me, plugging through them, trying to find recipes that would be seasonal, suitable, and impressive only to find that when I visited the shops, many of the ingredients I needed were either unavailable or not very good.
Chenuli, read the last two paragraphs, then we'll take a turn again. Nowadays,
It is. Teacher, me, right?
yes.
Nowadays, I tend to do the reverse. What I cook is controlled by what I have been able to buy. I might have had one of two vague ideas, but more often than not, I am scribbling through pages of recipe trying to find something new to do with some scallops, a leg of lamb, and a punnet of raspberries. I nearly always buy some cream fraiche and bunch of coriander and some seasonal vegetables. My stock cupboard is pretty good and I can usually find all the species I need, together with onions,
All the
garlic,
spices.
chilies,
Find all the
spices.
spices I need.
Together with onions, garlic, chilies, and boring stuff like flour, butter, and so on. I strongly believe that if you have good ingredients, you will be able to turn out something worth eating. At the end of a meal, there is nothing better than settling down with a strong espresso and a dish of the very best chocolates. The very best of friends can normally provide entertaining conversation, but to me, the finest compliment I can be paid is that they aren't afraid of gently nodding off. It shows that they feel satisfied, relaxed, and happy as a result of my effort.
Okay, very good. So I'll call next Pirundi, Dulina. Chanushi. Here in the first two paragraphs. Dulina next two paragraphs. Chanushi last two paragraphs of the first page. Okay. And Hirundu, you can start.
Cooking for friends. Choosing the degree I should study for at university was quite difficult for me as there were two careers that I found equally attractive, the law and catering. After much soul searching, I realized that whilst I could be a lawyer during the day and then enjoy cookery as a form of relaxation, the reverse was not true. Thus, I opted for a law degree and made food and wine my number one hobby. I had never regretted this decision. Working as a lawyer provided a good living and allowed me enough spare time to indulge myself by enjoying some very fine food and wines at many superb restaurants. A life in catering would have meant that I would always have been working when my friends were playing and vice versa. The hours that have to be worked by chefs are quite ridiculous. They have to arrive at the restaurants by mid-morning at the latest to prepare for lunch. They work all afternoon dealing with the business side of the establishment and developing new recipes. Then they must prepare for evening service, probably crawling into bed in the small hours of the next morning, feeling absolutely shattered.
Okay. Very good. Next, whom I call Dulina, no? Yeah, next two paragraphs. Sharing.
Yes. Sharing my love of fine food and wines with good friends in relaxed atmosphere of my home has more than compensated for not owning a restaurant. Being a professional chef probably would have meant that by now I would be sick of the sight of the food, much as I am completely turned off by the merest mention of anything to do with the law. The friends I like cooking for most of all are those who share the love of food and wine as much as I do, and who are quite happy to repay in grand style. When I pay them in return, for these friends, I like to pull out all the stops.
Finish, Dulina?
Yes,
Did you read up to here? No. All the two paragraphs?
yes,
Third and fourth? Adventurous
yes,
fare. I might really have wanted to try this. Up to here, did you read?
yes.
Okay. Chanushi and Ayuka, no? Chanushi here. The friends like I like cooking.
Okay. The friends I like cooking for most of all are those who share the love of food and wine as much as I do and who are quite happy to reciprocate in grand style. When I play them a return visit blank, generally my cooking has become less complex and pretentious over the years, and although I use recipe books and TV chefs as inspiration, I tend to find that the best way of deciding what to cook is to see what is available when I do the shopping. Years ago, I would have retired early to bed with a great heap of books around me, fluffing through them trying to find recipes that would be seasonal, suitable, and impressive, only to find that when I visited the shop, many of the ingredients I needed were either unavailable or not very good.
Okay, very good. I will ask the paragraphs nowadays.
Nowadays, I tend to do the reverse. What I cook is controlled by what I have been able to buy. Blank. I might have had one or two vague ideas, more often than not. I am scrambling through pages of recipes trying to find something new to do with some scallops, a leg of lamb, and punnet of raspberries. I nearly always buy some creme fraiche and a bunch of coriander and some seasonal vegetables. My store cupboard is pretty good, and I can usually find all the spices I need, together with onions, garlic, chilies, and boring stuff like flour, butter, and so on. Blank. I strongly believe that if you have good ingredients, you will be able to turn out something worth eating. At the end of a meal, there is nothing better than settling down with a strong espresso and a dish of the very best chocolates. The very best of friends can normally provide entertaining conversation, but to me, the finest compliment I can be paid is that they aren't afraid of gently nodding off. If it shows that they feel satisfied, relaxed, and happy as a result of my efforts.
Okay, right now everybody read, no? I hope you have understood some of the things I've understood what is in the paragraph. Okay, let's see the answers. How do you fit a decent social life into that sort of existence? Okay, it's a question. uh, the choices I make depend not only on the wines that might best complement the food, but also upon the preferences of my guests. See, however, it was a luxury of having the time to cook for friends at home that underlined the good sense of the decision I had made. D. Another factor is their attitude to their own cooking skills. E. It is not unusual for me to simply make everything up as I go along. F. It is one of the great joys of my life, and cooking has remained fun. G. This means that very often I don't know what I'm giving my friends until a few hours before they arrive. Last one. For these friends, I like to pull out all the stops. Okay. All right. Now, here there are 8 answers. When in this gap text, okay, it's about like when you are reading this gap text, it's something about a certain topic. Okay. So now this is cooking for friends. So whenever we have a sort of a mm, comprehension or a text, like the first paragraph is almost it's the introduction, we know. Okay, it's about someone. Now here there's a character. Okay, so the person is talking to us, saying about his or her, uh, how he or she made cooking for friends. Okay, so the first paragraph is basically what she or he think about on that, right? And then the second paragraph, okay, now if you see the first paragraph, choosing the degree I should study for at university was quite difficult for me, as there were two careers that I found equally attractive. So he or she that's telling about what the decision that taken by with thinking about two careers. Okay, after much soul searching, I realized the whistle I could be a lawyer during the day and then enjoy cookery as a form of relaxation. So that means both. Okay. So the meaning of whistles give you like same at the same time, like okay, during the same time, right? Uh, the reverse was not true. Thus, I opted for a low degree and made food and wine my number one hobby. Okay, so you can understand the he or she has taken the degree, okay, studied, and as well as the cooking also has done or doing as a hobby, right? So this is basically about the what we get to know by reading about this person. Second paragraph, I never have regretted this decision. Working as a lawyer provided a good living and allowed me enough spare time to indulge myself by enjoying some very fine food and wines at many superb restaurants. So, how the person is engaging in cooking was explained in the second paragraph, because rest of the sentences are about not about being a lawyer. It's about his or her hobby. Okay, so you get a blank here. Before the blank, it was talking about myself by enjoying some very fine food and wines at many superb restaurants. Then there's a blank. A life in catering would have mean that I would always have been working when my friends were playing and vice versa. Okay, so I'll explain you the certain words here. Okay, so which I have highlighted. You also can highlight it if you want, or you can underline, because we are going to add these words for our vocabulary. Okay, so in the next sentence, it says a life in catering. So it's again about as a chef or working in a catering. Okay, what the person's felt. A life in catering would have meant that I would always have been working with my friends. I would have working when my friends were playing and vice versa. Okay, so it's different from the friends were doing something else and he or she was engaging in something else. The hours that have to be worked by chefs are quite ridiculous. So they have to arrive at, so then the rest of the things are about how the chef working and the recipes sort of things. Okay, so second paragraph basically about as a chef, or it's about food or the hobby, basically what we understand. Okay, right? So there are two gaps here, 9 and 10. When you go here for the A answer, based on your answers you can decide your gap. Okay, how do you fit a decent social life into that sort of existence? So that sort of existence give you a kind of a clue to find your answer. And also, how do you fit a decent social life, where it is talking about social life, and that sort of existence would have addressing for some other topic. Okay, right, which is matching in one of the answers. Okay, so over here we have already fixed that answer A here. Okay, before that you find they must prepare for evening service, probably crawling into bed in the small hours of the next morning, feeling absolutely shattered. So this is why the answer A is taken here. It says, how do you fit decent social life into that sort of existence? So that sort of existence, in the sense, that sort of mean with a busy life, okay, having small hours of sleep, right? So that is the explanation, and which is matching over here, answer A. Okay, so normally in this type of paragraph, you will skim the paragraph fast. You will read and understand what and what in each and every paragraph, and focus on the key idea of the paragraph. Example, first is the introduction, talking about his degree and the hobby. Second is talking about the hobby completely, and chef, being a chef, how what kind of experience. And the third paragraph, sharing my love of fine food and wines with good friends. So it's about friends, how to be served to them. Relaxed atmosphere of my home has more than compensated for not owning a restaurant. Being a professional chef probably would have meant that by now I would be sick of that sight of foods, much as I completely turned off the merest mention of anything to do with law. Okay, so it's about again making food and how she enjoyed it, sharing with the friends in the next paragraph. Planning a meal for people I love is a great pleasure. So, again, that paragraph also about sharing it with friends. If you go to the last line over here, I sometimes hold back and cook something simpler than the more adventurous. So it's again how she cooked for friends. And over here, 12th one before the line, it says a starting point has to be catering for their own likes and dislikes and try to avoid serving them the same dishes. So how to serve the friends their favorite dishes or whatever. It's again about making food and all. Okay, so still which she started in the second paragraph is continuing over here. The friends I like cook for most of all are those who are share the love of food and wine as much as I do. So she mentioned about the friends in this paragraph, to whom that she is sharing with it. Okay, and in grand style when I pay them a return visit. So it's 13 ounces, something related with friends. Okay, and then generally my cooking has become less complex and pretentious over the years, although I use recipe books and TV chefs as inspiration. So she says her background of cooking right over here, like how she is doing shopping. And years ago, I would have retired early to bed with a great heap of books around me, flying through them trying to find recipes that would be seasonal, suitable, and impressive, only to find that when I visited the shops. So, how she visited the shops, ingredients she looked for, available, unavailable, okay, and then it has come to the present. Nowadays, tend to do the reverse. What I cook is controlled by what I have. So, here she says what how she decides her cooking. Okay, so and she has mentioned sort of food item here. And last also she said I strongly believe that if you have good ingredients, so she said how something worth eating, how to make it something worth eating with the ingredients you have. Okay, so that is the this paragraph is about nowadays how she is cooking and how her recipes are going to set up and all. So last is always the finishing of what she explained so far. So mostly she started with that she is a lawyer and she's end up with her hobby. Okay, so overall if you skim the paragraph and understood, okay, what we can understand, at the end of a meal there is nothing better than sitting down with a strong espresso, some kind of a coffee, okay, and a dish of the very best chocolates. Okay, so this is what after having a meal. Okay, so at last what kind of feeling and all, it comes over here mentioned. Okay, so answer A, we found or we fix it accordingly the what is being talking about in the full paragraph. It's about food. Okay, and over here, my order is I look at always the answers because answers are less for you. Paragraph is lengthy than the answers. Okay, so it's easy to look at the answers and fit it accordingly, but before that you have to skim the paragraph and understand each and every paragraph what it focuses on. Okay, so as I told you, A is how do you fit a decent social life. So it's something about social life talking, where it was talking about someone's a life of a chef and all. So which I matched over here. Okay, 10th answer as A. Then the second answer, The choices I make depend not only on the wines that might best complement the food, but also upon the preferences of my guests. Okay, so I have not taken this answer, I think, but yet if it is taking it, it should come where I have invited, uh, or people have or friends have come and had something with her. Okay, or the, so where you will get not beginning. Okay, it is, and you can decide whether your this answer A B C will come at the beginning of the paragraph or middle of the paragraph or last of the paragraph. Okay, paragraphs. Now the B answer, it will not be somewhere in the beginning. If it is matching, it will come at last only, somewhere, or middle only. But I'll just keep that one little away, this answer. See, however, it was the luxury of having the time to cook for friends at home that underlying the good sense of the decision I had made. So, see, answer taken over here. Okay, sharing of my love of food and wines with good friends. Okay, here it's sharing with friends mentioned in the relaxed atmosphere of my home. So this line gives you an idea to get the answer C. However, it was the luxury of having the time to cook for friends at home. Okay, so it matches with the first line over here. Has more than compensated for not owning a restaurant. Then it says, however, it was the luxury of having the time to cook for friends at home that underlined the good sense of the decision I had made. So that is how the 11th answer is taken. When it comes to the 12th, okay, sorry, I'm just going on the answer order. So this is how D. Another factor is their attitude. So their attitude is, now we know probably the friends, to their own cooking style, where the friends are talking about friends and talking about their cooking skills. You have to find it out which where it is matching. So planning a meal for people I love is a great pleasure. I have vast collection of cookery books, blah blah. It says over here. A starting point has to be catering for their own likes and dislike and trying to avoid serving them the same dishes as last time they visited. So I've taken the answer D here. Another factor is their attitude to their own cooking skills. Why it is matching here? I don't claim to be anything other than an enthusiastic amateur, but quite a few friends appear to be daunted by the prospect of cooking for me. Okay, so cooking for me is vice versa. That means she cooks for friends and cooking for me in the sense that the friends will cook for her. Okay, so this line also give you, the sentence also will give you a hint for you to take the answer as D for the 12th one. Okay, their attitude of their own cooking skills. E, then, it is not unusual for me to simply make everything up as I go along. If you remember in the last paragraph, how she's making ready nowadays for things. She said previously it is unavailable, or I needed, where many of the ingredients I needed were either unavailable or not very good. So nowadays I tend to do the reverse. What I cook is controlled by what I have been able to buy. So she mentioned over here. So, and in last she says some things she mentioned. My store cupboard is pretty good and I usually find all the spices I need together with onions, garlic, chilies, and boring stuff like flour, butter, and so on. Then E is taken. It is not unusual for me to simply make everything up as I go along. I strongly believe that if you have good ingredients, you will be able to turn out something worth eating. Okay, so E is taken here. Then, uh, okay, next answer is F. It is one of the great joys of my life, and cooking has remained fun. So one of the great joys of my life, and cooking remained fun. She was happy to say about that her decision, which she selected. Don't know whether I have nothing over here. No, sharing my love of fine food and wines with good friends in the relaxed atmosphere of my home has more than compensated for not owning a restaurant. Okay, so then it is one of the great joys of my life, and cooking has remained fun. Being a professional chef probably would have mean that by now I would be sick of the sight of food, much as I completely turn off the merriest mention of anything to do with the law. Next answer G. This means that very often. So you have to find it out what is this means, which you are going to fit this answer. This means that very often I don't know what I'm giving my friends. So that was said last only, no? I want to do the reverse. What I cook is controlled by what I have, what I have been able to buy. So this line gives a completely similar meaning to this one. So this means that very often I don't know what I'm giving my friends until a few hours before they arrive. I might have had one or two vague ideas, but more often than not, I'm scrabbling through pages of recipes, blah blah. Okay. So then the H for these friends. So particular friends are mentioned. That's why these friends. I like to pull out all the stops. So probably I like to pull out all the stops in the sense she doesn't want to she wanted to give something very nice. Okay, simple. And simply if I say I like to pull out all the stops in the sense that, so these friends in the sense the friends who will uh, love to have her food. Okay, that is what she says. I like to pull out all the stuffs. So the friends I like cooking for most of all the those who share the love of food and wine as much as I do. Okay, so it's obvious you to understand. This line says to whom that she's sharing the friends that she loved to have the same like her uh, opinion about the food, who are quite happy to procreate in grand style. When I pay them a return visit, it will match over here. For these friends, I like to pull out all the stops. Okay, clear? So it's already answers are done here. Okay, so I wanted you to try. Since we can't try this one, it's already you have answers on your book, no? It's printed, right? Your answers in the book, is it? Ayuka, you have your answers in the book, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So what I'm going to do, this is test 1. So gap text will go to the test 3 gap text. Okay. And one more I'll explain you over here. And I explain how I did it. Okay. Right. I will explain you how the exam tips ask you to do this one. How they will explain it. On your page, on your book, the page number 12. Okay. In this here it says it explain gap text. In this part you are being tested on how well you understand the flow of a text and referencing, that is referring to people and things using words like it and they. If you see the answers here and there, most answers are replaced by pronouns, okay, like it they, which we need to figure it out. Okay, you need to look carefully at the sentences before and after the gap, which I told you, right? Before and after the gap you have to look into when you're going to choose your answer for clues, as well as think about the sense of the whole paragraph, which I told you as the main idea of the paragraph. Okay, when you have chosen the sentences which you think best fits each space, always read through the whole paragraph to make sure it makes sense. So there are 3 techniques talking about here. What are those techniques? The first one is referencing. Okay, so that is referring to people and things using it and they. Okay, whatever the paragraph you will happen to read, you will have this referencing always replaced by it and they. Okay, right? Or many other pronouns can be just as examples we are saying. So referencing is one technique here. You need to look carefully at the sentences before and after the gap for clues. Okay, to find as a clue before and after the gap, you have to look into the sentences, right? As well as think about the sense of the whole paragraph. When you have chosen the finally you got your answer, you think this is the best matching, and you had to put that and read through the whole paragraph to make sure it makes sense. Okay, sometimes by the practice of knowledge, it will come to us when we read, we feel it's not fitting. Okay, that is like how do we decide answers, right? So one by one it explains. Ninth one, which sentence explains another reason why he does not regret his decision. So I'm not going to take much time to explain this one because I've already answered this one. um, so basically you have to, when you're answering in a gap text, remember you are looking at flow of a text and referencing, and read before and after the gap for clues, and read through the whole paragraph to make sure it makes sense. Basically this is what you have to understand when you are answering gap text. Okay, I hope you got it right. Now let's try, okay, what I explained so far. Whether you got it or not, we can make sure when I give you an activity. So now you turn to the page number, let me scroll down. Okay, test 2. Those who have physically all have books, no? So you can, I don't have this book physically, it's on only just over the over on my laptop only. Can you tell me the part 2 of test 2 in which page? Turn it and see. Okay, test 2 part 2. I'm listening still. Okay, it is page 40. Test 2, paper 1, reading part 2. It's about technical theater. Okay, we did cooking for friends in test 1 as the part 2. Okay, and I explained you. Now you are going to do part 2, technical theater. Okay, same like we'll take turns and read it. Okay, and then your answers are here. Once again, there are 7 sentences. It was a course for people who didn't know anything about the theater. I hope everybody got the page. Okay, 40, starting from 40 to 41. The more I found out about technical theater, the more interested I became. Also, there's a quite a lot of instability and insecurity to the job, and the money is not always good. While the cast were getting ready, um, we would get on with any necessary maintenance jobs. I was very curious as I watched the whole thing being put together, and I found it hugely exciting. Working in a large theater is much more difficult because there are so many more people to organize. The work was quite sporadic, but the money was good. In 1 month, I could earn enough to last me 6 months. Theaters are looking for people with the proven ability and who know what they are doing and what interest them the most of on your CV is your last job. So it's about theaters. Am I fast? Technical theater. Shall we read? Are you ready? Ayuka, you got the page, right? Chanushi, got the page,
I
right? Dulina,
photocopy with me, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Chanushi, you heard right?
I don't have it with me, teacher.
You don't have this book, right?
No.
Okay. You can see my screen and read it, okay? I sent you the this one, right? I sent already the book, right?
Yeah, but I didn't take the part.
Printouts. Okay, this part you are not taken printout yet.
Yeah.
Okay, it's better to take the full book, okay? The pages I mentioned because actually it will go on order only. I will not do here and there. But here what why I'm taking this one because the part 2 is answered there. So now I explain, but I wanted to see whether you understood it, okay? Right? That's why. Otherwise it will go in an order. Um, Others you have, right? Either you don't have, don't worry, right? If you can if you know how to manage your device, you can open the PDF which I shared. You can open from your one, your device, which you can control your this one, because my screen you can't control. Okay, so that you can go scroll it up and down and fit your answers. Okay, right. So we are going to read technical theater. So I'll start with reading and try to figure it out your answers while others reading. Okay, so focus on this, right? You are doing an online class. Okay, I guess I know sometimes maybe boring and maybe I don't know whether your sleeping time and all, but you had to have an interest on this reading and finding answers, then only we can do it, okay, properly. So you have to one time you're reading and the other time you focus on what we are reading. Okay, so while others reading you focus on the answers. Okay, so that's why it's better to have a physically the book with you, which you can turn it up here and there, and always use a pencil to do your answering right answer. So whenever you want you can erase and adjust it. Okay, I'll start with now Ayuka. Earlier I started with Sahansa, Setuli, and Salitha. We'll give you last turn. And it was last reading Ayutra and Hirundi and Dulina. I'll take, okay? So Ayutra read, start with the first paragraph, first and second paragraph. So 9 and 10 answers are missing here, which you need to figure it out, okay? We'll read and try to understand paragraph by paragraph how to fix the answers. Also, same time I will give you. So try to fix your answers, okay? And don't put send the answers in the chat. Once we finish reading everything, you are going to send your answers, okay? Aika, can you start reading? Here, 1 minute, okay? You are going to read an article in which stage manager Adam James talks about his work in technical theatre. 7 sentences have been removed from the article. Choose from the sentences A to H, the one which fits each gap. Okay. Anyway, there is one extra sentence, right? Right. Technical theatre. Okay, you can read the first 2 paragraphs. When we go to the theatre,
When we go to the theater, we go to see the actors and their performance. The stage is the central focus point. It is where everything happens, or at least everything that we, the audience, are supposed to see. But there is so much more to putting on a performance than just the acting cast. There is a whole team of people who we never see but without whom no production would be possible. We spoke to Adam James, who has worked in technical theatre since the age of 14, to find out what goes on behind the scenes and how he got involved. I was 12 years old when I first saw a show in my local leisure center. I was fascinated by the fact that everything came in about 10 lorries and they basically built a theater from scratch. Blank. I got to know some of the people working on the stage management team and they let me shadow them while they work. I met the stage manager and after watching the team work and talking to him, I decided that was what I wanted to do as a job. I didn't know anything about work in the theater industry, so I started studying and learning about the job. Blank. However, what I really wanted was to get involved and start working as a part of a stage management team. Once I was 14, I managed to get some work experience and I started to miss school sometimes and go to work at the theater instead.
Okay. So here, first paragraph, it is about technical theater, basically behind scene. Okay. So Adam James, when we go to the theater, we go to see the actors and their performance. The stage is the central focus point. It is where everything happens, or at least everything that the audience are supposed to see. But there is so much more to putting on a performance than just the acting cast. There is a whole team of people who we never see, but without whom no production would be possible. So it says not only the actors, there are so many people behind to make it happen. We spoke to Adam James, who has worked in a technical theater since the age of 40. Okay, so this is about Adam, and this is basically about what happens in a theater, technically what is happening to make actors to become as performers performing on stage. And then it mentioned a character here called Adam, right, who works as a technical who work as a um, Adam James, who worked in technical theater, okay, since age of 40. Then he talks here in the second paragraph. I was 12 years old when I first saw a show in my local leisure center. I was fascinated by the fact that everything came about 10 lorries and they basically built a theater from scratch. Blah. Okay. I got to know some of people working on the stage management team and they let me shadow them while they worked. Okay. Shadow them in the sense like let him move around the back of the stage. Okay. So here, this is his first experience talking about where we need to find nine, answer nine. Okay. And when you go down little here, I met the stage manager, and after watching the team work and talking to him, I decided that was what I wanted to do as a job. So by seeing this, he got interested. I didn't know anything about work in the theater industry, so I started studying. So that is basically when you're interested in something, you will first start studying the same thing he has done and learning about the job. Then there's a gap again. So before, if you see the uh, technique of answering this one, referencing, okay, looking into the gap before and after, and then see whether read it and put the answer and see whether it makes sense. Okay, this is what we are just now doing it. Okay, however, what I really wanted was to get involved and start working as a part of a stage management team. So 9 and 10 answers are not here. Now you can just look into your answers. It was a course for people who didn't know anything about the theater. Do you think A will go in one of the answers in 9 and 10? It is not matching for the 9 or 10 because it was a course. He did not yet mention about any of the courses. So this answer will not come as 9 or 10. Okay. So this is how you analyze your answers. Okay. Now, as I told you, you just read it randomly, go like see your answers. The more try to figure it out your answers now. Okay. Now itself for the 9 and 10. Now we finished reading the first two paragraphs. The more I found out about technical theater, the more interested I became. Probably this answer would match somewhere beginning. Okay, because it was the time, it was the place It was the text that explained about how he got interested and all. Okay, but yet I don't know whether it's 9 or 10. You all have to decide. Okay, see, also there's a quite a lot of ins instability and insecurity in the job. Still, we did not read any kind of insecurity or instability. So C will not match 9 or 10. Got it? Okay. So I'm just analyzing. Okay. On myself, I'm just showing you. Okay, this is how you read a paragraph, read the answers, and trying to fix it. Okay, the missing parts. While the cast were getting ready, we would get on with any necessary maintenance jobs. Yet we did not read about any maintenance job. There was a line about the cast, but it's not like getting ready and all, not yet come to the paragraph yet, what we have read up to now. Okay. I was very curious as I watched the whole thing being put together, and I found it hugely exciting. This is also should come I okay, I was very curious. Okay, this is where he saw everything. Okay, because he first time saw, it was excited that he wanted to study this. Okay, he wanted to do as his job, where he mentioned beginning. So this is also, I was very curious as I watched the whole thing. It was mentioned up to so far what we have read. Okay, so this is also can be one of your answers in the first paragraph. Okay, so as I told you, this and this can be one of your answers. Okay, working in a large theater is a much more difficult because there are so many more people to organize. I don't, I think so far we did not talk about large theater. The work was quite sporadic, but the money was good. We did not yet talk about the work and the money. In month one, I could earn. We are still in the beginning where he got interested and he's finding a job and all. We did not read yet this part. Okay. Theaters are looking for people with proven ability and who know what they are doing and what interest, blah blah. So this is like theaters are looking for people with proven ability. It would come probably at last only after talking about all this. He's still in the beginning. He's still talking to us, saying how he started. So probably this answer also will come at last only. Okay. So this is my analyze about the answers. We just read only two paragraphs. Okay. See, if I'm fast, what you can do, right? I'm sharing the recording. Listen, okay? Listen to the recording so you'll understand, right? We are going to read the next two paragraphs. I did it with Ayuka. Lulina, can you read the next two paragraphs? I left school when I was 16.
I left school when I was 16, and because I had quite a lot of experience, I was able to get a job as an assistant stage manager in a theatre in London. I worked there for about a year and then did some freelance work in Cornwall, and went on tours around the country. Blank country working working on tour was intense but really good fun. A typical Monday would see us arrive at about 8 o'clock in the morning and open up the lorries. We would have some coffee, and then when everyone had arrived, we would spend the day building the show. In afternoon, the cast would arrive, and I would show them around so they knew where they could make quick costume changes and things like that. Blank. Once the show had started, it was just a case of watching and submitting and letting the show happen around us. As stage manager, I was always the first and the last person on the stage. Working on tour can be stressful as you have to keep track of where everyone is for health and safety reasons and monitor everything that goes on backstage. and keep to time. Then once the show is over, you have to check everything and make a note of everything that needs repairing or redoing before the next performance.
Okay, right. Thank you. Now here he got interested, he started the job, he learned it. Okay, he was saying it was he just started studying it. Okay, then he said now he's 16, he left the school when I was 16, and because I had quite a lot of experience, I was able to get a job as an assistant stage manager in a theater in London. I worked there for about a year and then did some freelance work in Cornwall and went on tours around the country. So, answer 11 before it says he got he's now working as assistant manager and he started tours around the country. Then working on tour was intense but really good fun. Okay, a typical Monday would see blah blah. So now he'll next explain how the day goes. Okay, when he goes on tours, right? So like 8 o'clock in the morning and open up the lorries. We would have some coffee. Then everyone had arrived. We would spend the day building the show. In the afternoon, the cast, mean the people who are engaging in the whole act and all would arrive, and I would show them around so they knew where they could make a quick costume changes and things like that. Okay, so here again there's a blank. So now you have to figure it out your 11 and 12 answers. Okay, right, and which you will look back into your answers again. Now, as I told you, I just have given you some clues for the 9 and 10. A we have not yet taken yet. Okay. So again, if you talk about, it was a course for people. So far, whatever Dulina read also was not anything about course we have not went through. So A cannot be your answers. C also there's a quite a lot of instability and insecurity of the job. Still we did not come to that part. Okay. So probably it will come at last. This one. And while the cast were getting ready, here you have a kind of a clue, because while the cast were getting ready we would get on the any. So this answer could be one of your answers in the paragraph which we just read. Okay, because as the cast were getting ready, if you remember, it says no, his job was like to showing round, like where the quick costume changes, blah blah, it was mentioned. Okay, something you know uh, matching over here with the, but yet I don't know whether it's 11 or 12. Okay, which you need to decide. And then working in a large theater is much more difficult because there are so many people to organize. In this one, uh, large theater, I think so far we did not come to this large theater part. Okay, so leave behind this answer bit. The work was quite sporadic, but money was good. Sporadic in the sense like messy, like or else how do you get? Yeah, at a stretch you have to work like sporadic. Okay, but the money was good. In 1 month I could earn. So this answer G, in 1 month money was good. 1 month I could earn enough to last me 6 months. I'm not sure whether we talk about anything that earning and all. Let's just check. We'll go whatever we read up to now. Theaters are looking for people with proven ability. I think this is also we did not read yet. So still then it's what you have is only now for 10 and 11 is D and G. D is of course matching in somewhere. Uh, Working on tour was intense but really good fun. Okay, you have a clue once again. It's good fun. Okay, it says in the answer 10 where you can say money was good. In 1 month I could earn the work was quite sporadic but the money was good. So I guess it will be one of the answers over here. Okay, because it's I worked there for about a year and then did some freelance work in Cornwall and went on tours around the city. Right. Working on tour was intense but really good fun. Intense mean like full of work, like busy, 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 so that you have attention, right? So, but really good fun. A typical Monday would see us arrive at about 8 o'clock in the morning, open up lorries. Okay, it doesn't mention anywhere money. Okay, in here, but one of these answers should come over here, either G or F or D. Okay, because others we just analyzed, but remaining is D, F, G. Okay, so you just decide. Okay, right? Then next two paragraph I'll move to. I hope now you're answering. Okay, with me. If you're on the track with me, so that you can just mark your answers. Hirundi, can you read next two paragraphs? After a couple of years touring.
Okay, teacher. After a couple of years touring, I decided to return to London and go to college to study technical theatre. I studied for a year, but I realized that it wasn't very useful to me. I had learned a lot more from my years working. Blank. I felt like I was already established in the industry, so I decided to leave college and got a job in a theatre. When finding work in technical theatre, first-hand experience is much more important than qualifications. Blank. I did some more freelance work in London for a while, and now I work for a production company. You can have up to 20 people working on any one performance, so there's a real team spirit. There are people working in lighting, sound, wardrobe, wings, props, carpentry, and stage management. Apart from the technical side, we also have to look after the actors. As stage manager, it's my job to meet and greet the cast on their first day and make sure they know where everything is and have everything they need. The hardest thing I have ever had to do was try to control 2,500 primary school children. I really like what I do. There are, of course, a number of disadvantages. I don't like the hours and the disruption to my personal life that working evenings can cause. Blank. But I would highly recommend it to others. It's very enjoyable and always different. You never have the same day twice, and there's something very exciting and beautiful about live theatre.
Live theatre. Yes. Now we explained up to 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. 13 and 14 answers are in one paragraph itself, where he said after a couple of years touring. Okay, now he was touring and doing his job. After a couple of years touring, I decided to return to London and go to college and study technical. Again, now he is starting to study. Okay. I studied for a year but realized that it wasn't very useful to me. I had learned a lot more from my years working. So he explained over here, which you need to find your answer A. Okay. Before the gap, he says I had learned a lot more from my years working. I felt like I was already established in the industry, so I decided to leave college and got a job in theater. So now you need to figure it out your answer 13. If you have so far done 9, 10, 11, 12, it's easy for you because the remaining months you have to look into. Okay. So probably the answer A, you can think about A. I will not say now, okay? What and what, because it's easy for you to if I say the answers now. A, C, H, right? We did not put, I think. Even F, okay? Just we, so you can look which answers are matching now for the 13 according to the description here or the text here. Then the 14th one, when finding work in a technical theater, first-hand experience. Before the 14th plan, first-hand experience is much more important than qualifications. Where it is talking about qualification and experience in one of the sentences, it was right. It was talking about. If you can think about that, okay. And then I did some more freelance work. Then last paragraph, before the last paragraph, you can have up to 20 people working on any one performance. So there's a real team spirit. There are people working in lighting. So it says the background. How many people are working and what they are just working on, it says. And at last, it says there are, of course, a number of disadvantages. Now it's coming to the disadvantage very last, where you can figure it out any of the disadvantages mentioned in one of your answers here, which will fit here. No, I don't like the hours and the disruption to my personal life that working evenings can pose. Blank, but I would highly recommend to the so further it can be some other disadvantages mentioned because it's personal experience mentioned and it's started talking about the disadvantages, and but still he recommended it for others. It's very enjoyable and always different. You never have the same day twice, and there's something very exciting and beautiful about the theater, that is about the live theater. That is how it's ending up. Okay, so for 15th answer I gave a clue. You want me to explain anything else? Can you, those who did not read will read with the answers now. Okay, now I'll give you 5 minutes. Try to put your answers, fill it with your answers, then we'll read with the answers. Anything did not see when you're reading a paragraph like this, there can be words which you cannot understand. Okay, so 90% of your paragraph maybe you will understand, at least 75%. So there is some percentage which certain words will you don't know the meaning. It doesn't matter. Okay, when it comes to an exam, you don't want to know 100% all the meanings, but some meanings you can figure it out when you get the whole idea about the paragraph. Okay, so don't worry about that, since some words may be new to you. Okay, anything else if you want me to explain over here, please ask. Otherwise I'll give you 5 minutes. Put your answers in the chat. Okay, so there will be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 answers, 7 letters which you need to write as your answers. Okay, so I'll give you 5 minutes. No one has put answers in the chat. Uh, you're finished or did not understand how to do? Please put your answers. I got now. I got Hirundis. I got Saliha. Gurina, you're finished. Generally, you have the book, right? Have you done this one?
No, teacher.
You're doing now, right? I
Yes,
mean,
teacher.
okay. Previously, you're not done this one, right? In on the Monday class.
No, teacher.
Okay. Saliha, you can't understand the 14th one, right? Let me check with your correct answer. We'll correct the answers, then I'll give you some clues, okay? Hirundi, Hirundi, there are 7 answers, right? You have sent me only 6 answers. Sorry. Can you check again? Saliha, 9, 10, 11, correct. 12 also correct. 13 also correct. 14 you don't know. And 15 wrong. So, the what you got for 15, no, remove that answer. Then you have 2 remaining, right? From those 2, try to figure it out. It's HNC only remaining. No. So 14, which is talking about first-hand experience, is much more important than qualifications. I did some more freelance work in London for a while, and now I work for a production company. So this 14th answer should explain something about when it comes to HNC. Also, there's a quite lot of instability and insecurity. It's obvious to understand C is not the answer for the 14. Okay, that's about some negative points or the disadvantages. Lurina 9 correct, 10 wrong, 11 wrong, 12 correct, 13 wrong, 14 correct, 15 wrong. Can you check again? Because 9 and 10 I explained. I gave you some, I underlined on the answers and I told you to correctly figure it out 9 and 10. You picked 9 correctly, but 10, it is the answer of somebody, sorry, something else answer. Some other questions answer I have taken as 10. 9 correct, 11, 9, 10 and 11 wrong, 12 correct. Okay. Again 14 correct. So 3 are correct. Can you check again? Tulina? Tulina, you heard, right?
Okay, teacher.
Yeah. Generally, I told 9th answer. I already underlined these two. If you listen to me carefully, you can't put the 9th answer as D. Generally, I told it should be B or E. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, 9 and 10 I already underlined here, but I asked you to figure it out whether the 9 is B or E, like that. So look back into 9 and 10 again.
Okay, teacher.
9, 12, All are wrong. You have to read it again.
Okay, teacher.
Satuli, there's a one mistake. 13th one. Okay. It is not this answer. Now you know what is the answer because only one is remaining, no? Right? So you can make it 6 out of 7. Okay, then Sehansa, all answers are correct. The 15th, you have a choice. You don't know whether it is F or C. How do you figure it out, the last answer? It's easy, I told you. Number of disadvantages. There are, of course, a number of disadvantages. I don't know. I don't like the hours and the distractions to my personal life that I working evenings can cause. Further down, it is the advantages probably because but it's next the recommendation when it comes to the answers which is remaining only C and F. Okay, and C also there's a quite lot of instability and insecurity to the job and the money is not always good. Then F, working in a large theater, so F is not matching for 15, right Sahansa? So which one is then you can understand, no? So 6 out of 7, right? Irundi, all are correct. Well done. So you 6 are correct mean really good. You have listened, you have understood. Either you have taken your answers by your experience or you have listened and get gone through the answers. Whatever, anyhow, you have figured it out your answers 90%. Okay, so it's really good. But no problem. Okay, only thing you have to now if you could not find it out the answers properly, don't worry because we are just practicing it for the first time. Gap text, right? You have many more to practice. Always remember the technique, right? The things that I explained. So now those who did not read, okay? I'll let you read now. So 9 and 10 answers are what and what? 9 is double check your answer, okay? It is E because it's about 9 is E and 10 is B. I was very curious as I watched the whole thing being put together and I found it hugely exciting. The way they brought things and okay, the lorries, about 10 lorries, and they basically built a theater from scratch. I got to know some of the people, blah blah. It says how exciting it was. So ninth answer is E. And 10th one it says and that's it. So I started studying and learning about the job. Okay. So 10th one is B because the more I found about technical theater, the more interested I became. Because it says, however, what I really wanted was to get involved and start working as a part of. So how he interested here, it is explaining over here. So 10th answer is B. Okay. Then he left school and then he joined as an assistant stage manager, got a job, and then freelanced worked. Then the 11th answer is G. The work was quite sporadic, but the money was good. In 1 month, I could earn to last me 6 months. Okay, T. So working on tour was intense, but really good fun. A typical Monday. So it just explaining how people, the cast is coming and what is his job, what he will do with the people there. Okay, so 12th was like showing the actors and actresses for quick costume changes, things like that. One of the show had started, it was just a case of watching and supervising, and his job responsibility was explaining over here in the 12th one, which is matching for the D. While the cast were getting ready, we would get on with any necessary maintenance job. Okay, so his part of job is explained in D, which is matching here. Okay. Then 13th one answer is after a couple of years touring, then he realized that it wasn't really useful to me. I had learned a lot more from my working years of working. So 13th answer is A, where he started. He is saying that it was a course for people who didn't know anything, because he started the course learning again. After a couple of years touring, I decided to return to London and go to college to study technical theatre. So it means studying technical theatre, which is matching 13. 14 is H, that is about the qualification and all it explained. Where the 14th answer, it says theatre are looking for people with proven ability and who know what they are doing. So proven ability match with the experiences, okay? And what interests them to most on your CV is your last job. So your last job, which is matching, if it's matching with the something around theatre, so it says over here. The last one, as I told you, it's about disadvantages. Only one sentence is talking about disadvantages, that is C, which is your last answer. Okay. Actually, this is easy. Okay. Without knowing the technique also, by present knowledge also will help you to figure it out your answers, because the paragraph is understandable. But yet some things may be hard for you. Okay. Now, Dulina, your answers E, B, G, D, yeah, A, H, still the last one wrong. Okay, it is C, not F. Okay, so today we discuss about the gap text, how to do answering. Okay, now go back to your first test one part 2. It was cooking for friends. We have highlighted or underlined new words to add in our vocabulary. And the first day lesson also was about uh, Barak pianist. There also we have some words. So you take your writing book. This last 10-15 minutes will take for writing the vocabulary. Okay. I'll share my screen now with the vocabulary. We went through these words already. Okay. Start writing accompaniment, a musical part which supports or partners and instrument, voice or group, like similarly backing or support. Accompanies someone who plays an instrument such as the piano or guitar while someone else sings or plays the main tune. Passion, a strong feeling or emotion, strong like or desire. Passion, whilst during the time that at the same time. Okay, it's a conjunction. What I have put within bracket is abbreviations. Okay, N stands for noun, CON stands for conjunction, ADV stands for adverb. Okay, V is verb. You may be knowing all this already because you are referring dictionaries. Okay, it's already mentioned the abbreviations. Thus, as a result of or consequence of this, regret or regretted, feel sad, disappointed, indulge, allow someone to enjoy something, desired, consideration. Vice versa is used to indicate that the reverse of what you have said is also true. If you want to, orderly say something one, two, three, okay, in an order, and you want to say the opposite order also correct, no need to say the order again. You can say vice versa. Okay, right? Shattered, very upset, exhausted, ridiculous, comical, laughable, okay, foolishness. Basically, it was talking about the chef, no? That paragraph, cooking for friends. The work was ridiculous, it says, okay? And compensated, give someone something. I have written STH, shorten of something, okay? Right? I'll show you again 1 minute, okay? So, amateur, merriest, yeah. Yeah, we'll try to write up to the 14th, okay? Amateur also, we went through that. A person who engages in pursuit, especially a sport, or merriest used to emphasize how small or insignificant someone something unimportant thing, or that is an adjective. Compensated gives someone something, typically money, in recognition of loss, suffering. It was also compensated or mentioned in the Cooking for Friends, that paragraph, okay? Right. Shall we start writing? Accompaniment. Please write the definition. It will be helpful for you, right? Copy down, don't take pictures. You're supposed to write and you're supposed to send me your uh, vocabulary. And I did not get your introduction. I will tell you now who shared me. See, daily basis I'm marking whom have shared with me. So I will have end of the month who have not shared me the lessons. Okay. So because of that, everybody please up to date do it. Because if you do it on time, you don't have anything pending. Because there are no homework over in this class. Okay. So
Teacher,
Chetuli, yes.
teacher, we have to write one word 5 times, right?
No. This is not like that. Okay, that was the previous. Now you're writing only what is on the screen. You're not going to repeat the word. You'll be writing the definition and some similar word. Okay, you're not
Okay.
going to repeat. Yes, you will just copy down in your vocabulary. We have divided the book into two parts: writing and vocabulary. Part of vocabulary, you start writing. You can continuously put numbers, okay, if you want, or else day by day you can. Now today we try to finish all 14 words. We'll try to write it. Saturi has shared me her introduction, what we have written last week. I got. Meanwhile, I'll tell you, okay? Others, please share it today with the vocabulary at the end of the class. Dulina, I did not get your one. Share it today. Surundi also has to share your last week lesson, which you wrote. Saliha shared me. Sehansa, you have to share the last week lesson which you wrote, and as well as the vocabulary that you're writing today, okay? Shanushi has shared. I got your last week lesson. Ayuka supposed to share me. You copy down everything, Ayuka, right? Last week lesson.
Yes, miss.
Yeah. So share me today with the vocabulary, okay? Put the date and start. I think you have already started, okay? Accompaniment, accompanist. Just little go down. Passion, whistles. This is pronounced as whistles, okay? Sorry, it's pronounced as whiles. Whiles, not whistles. Whiles, okay? During the time that, at the same time. Finish writing? Can I go down?
Yes, teacher.
Yeah. So I hope you're finished 1, 2, 3. I'll go down. Now you can see 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll go a little more down, okay? I hope you're finished 3, 4. Finish writing 5, 6, 7. Anyone still writing 7?
Which I'm writing, sir.
Okay. 5, 6 finish, right, Hirundi?
Yes.
Okay. I'll go to the next page. Okay, I hope you're finished up to the 7th. Now you can see 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We'll write up to the, yeah, 13, 14 also. Okay. 9, 10 finish. Anybody still writing 9, 10? 9, anyone writing? Can I go down?
Okay.
You won't tell me, okay? I'm just going down. One you can't see, no? ADJ is adjective, okay? Shattered, very upset, exhausted. Ridiculous, compensated, merriest, amateur.
Teacher, can you also show the 14th one?
Yes. 10th up to your finish, right? Okay, this is the last one. Don't, don't, present and the past tense verbs. Okay, make someone feel intimidated, intimidated or apprehensive. Overcome with fear. Okay, finish writing, right? Who are finished? Sahansa, you're finished, right? Can you read the words?
Teacher, I'm done.
Salia done, right? Okay, Sahansa read first, Salia read next. So that we'll finish the class now. Can you read the words that you have written? So Sahansa,
Understand? Yeah.
look at your note and read from the beginning.
Okay, teacher.
Sansa, you need time. Shall I start with Salia? Uh, Salia, can you read?
Yes, teacher. Teacher, can you?
Words
Accompaniment,
are, words are enough, okay? No need the definition. Words are enough.
accompaniment, accompanist, passion, twist, thus, indulge, regret, regretted, vice versa, shattered, ridiculous, compensated, merest, amateur, daunted.
Okay, very good. Sansa, can you read now? Anybody else finish? Can read now?
Teacher Hirunni can read.
Okay, Hirunde, read it.
Accompaniment, accompanist, passion, whilst, thus, regret, regretted, indulge, vice versa, shattered, ridiculous, compensated, merest, amateur, don't.
Okay, very good. Generally, you can write it down the ones you have missed. Okay, I'll come back to 5.
Okay, teacher. Teacher,
Anybody else?
now I can read it.
Okay. Chetuli, you're finished?
Wait.
Teacher
This should I
Setuli,
read?
Okay, generally read it. Then I'll take Chetuli.
Accompaniment, accompanies, passion, whilst, thus, regret, indulge, shattered. Teacher, I think I missed two. Teacher, but I
Shattered.
wrote the others.
What
Shattered,
is the. Okay.
ridiculous, compensated, merest, amateur,
Merriest. Hmm.
compensated, merest, amateur, don't.
Amateur. Don't.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah. Chetuli, can you read?
okay, teacher. Accompaniment, accompanied, passion, whilst, thus, regret or regretted, indulge, vice versa, shattered, ridiculous, compensated, merest, amateur, daunt or daunted.
Right. Very good. Ayuka, you're finished? Chanushi finished? Can read? Chanushi? Yes, read it.
Finish this.
Can you read?
Okay.
You're muted.
Okay. Teacher, should I read from 1 to 14 or?
Yeah. To 14. Yes, correct.
Okay. Accompaniment, a musical part which supports a partner's an instrument, voice, or group. Backing support.
Read only the
Accompaniment.
words, Tali. No need the definition. Read only the
Okay.
words. Okay.
Okay. Accompanist, passion, whilst, thus, regret, indulge, wise, shattered, ridiculous, compensated, merest, amateur, don't and don'ted.
Okay. Right. Very good. Aruka, can you read?
Yes, miss. Accompaniment, accompanied, passion, vows, pass, regret, indulge, shattered, ridiculous, compensated, merest, amateur, daunted.
Okay. Very good. Sahansa, you're done. Can you read?
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
Accompaniment, accompanies, passion, violence, thus, regret, regretted, indulge, wise, shattered, ridiculous, compensated, merged, amateur, don't.
Okay. Very good. Dulina, did you read? Yes, right?
No, teacher.
Okay. Can you read?
Okay, teacher. Accompaniment, accompanied, passion, whilst, thus, regret, indulge, vice versa, shattered, ridiculous, compensated, merged, ammunitive, don't.
Okay. Did everybody read? Totally, you are done. You read, right? Yes, no? Yeah. Okay. So that's all for today, right? Share your work if you have not shared me. So there are two lessons for the writing, introduction and the vocabulary. Okay. Right. So see you then next Wednesday. Good night, everyone.
Good night, teacher.
Good night, teacher. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night, teacher.